I didn't plan to go that deep into the forest. It was supposed to be a short walk, just something to clear my head after a long week. There's a trail about 40 minutes outside town, the kind people use for jogging or weekend hikes. Nothing extreme. I'd been there before, so I wasn't worried. I got there a little after 4 p.m. The weather was normal, not too hot, not windy, just quiet. That kind of quiet you only get when you're far from traffic. I parked near the entrance where a few other cars were already lined up. Families, probably. Maybe a couple of hikers. I didn't bring much, just my phone, earphones, and a bottle of water. At first, everything felt normal. The trail was clear. Dry leaves, tall trees, sunlight breaking through in patches. I passed 2 people on my way in, a man and a woman, and we did that quick nod strangers do. I walked for maybe 20 minutes before realizing I hadn't seen anyone else in a while. That wasn't unusual, but it made me more aware of my surroundings. The path had started to narrow, and the trees were closer together. The air felt slightly cooler, too. I remember checking my phone. 4:28 p.m. I thought about turning back, but I didn't feel tired yet, so I kept going. That's when I heard it for the first time. Footsteps. Not loud, just out of sync with mine. At first, I assumed it was an echo. The ground was covered in dry leaves, so every step made a crunch. But after a few seconds, I noticed something off. When I stopped walking, the other steps didn't stop immediately. They took one more step. Just one. Then silence. I stood still for a moment, listening. Nothing. No wind, no voices, just that deep forest quiet. I turned around. The path behind me was empty. I even stepped off the trail slightly, looking between the trees. No movement, no color, nothing that looked like a person. I told myself it was probably just delayed sound, maybe someone far behind me. Still, I decided to head back. I turned around and started walking in the direction I came from. At first, everything felt normal again. Then I noticed something that didn't make sense. The path didn't look familiar. Not dramatically different, just slightly off, like the trees weren't arranged the same way, like a turn I didn't remember taking was suddenly there. I slowed down. I was sure I hadn't gone that far in. I had checked my phone again. 4:36 p.m. Only 8 minutes had passed. That didn't feel right either. I kept walking, a bit faster now. That's when I heard the footsteps again. Behind me. Same pattern. Slightly out of sync. Crunch. 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 I stopped. They didn't stop immediately. One more step. Then silence. This time, I didn't turn around right away. I don't know why. Something just told me not to. Instead, I pulled out my phone and switched to the front camera. Then slowly raised it, angling it behind me. The screen showed the path. Empty. But for a split second, and I mean barely a second, something passed between 2 trees. Not clearly, not enough to describe, just movement. Low to the ground. Fast. I turned around instantly. Nothing. No sound, no footsteps, no branches moving. I started walking faster, not running, but close to it. The path curved slightly ahead, and for the first time, I felt something close to panic, because I didn't remember that curve. And then I saw it. My car, parked up ahead, exactly where I left it. I felt this huge wave of relief, like everything snapped back to normal. I walked straight to it, unlocked it, got inside and locked the doors. For a few seconds, I just sat there breathing. Then something small caught my attention. My side mirror. It was angled slightly differently than I usually leave it. Not a big difference, just enough that I noticed. I adjusted it, and that's when I saw the ground behind my car. Footprints. Not mine. They were deeper, heavier, like someone had been standing there for a while, right behind the driver's side door, facing the forest. I looked up from the mirror, slowly. Straight ahead, through the windshield, the trail entrance was visible. Empty. No one coming out, no one going in, just trees. I locked the doors again, even though they were already locked. Then I started the engine and drove out. As I passed the main entrance, I noticed something that didn't make sense. The parking area was almost empty. Only my car had been there. No families, no hikers. Just me. I didn't go back. But a few days later, I checked my phone gallery. I don't remember taking any pictures that day, but there was one video, 7 seconds long, recorded at 4:35 p.m. The camera was pointed downward, like the phone had been held at waist level. It showed my legs walking, and behind me, footsteps, close. Close enough that whoever it was should have been in frame. But they never appeared. Just the sound, keeping pace with me. Perfectly. Until the video ends.
I didn't plan to stay that late. It was just supposed to be a quick stop. This happened around September 2020, back when evenings felt quieter than usual, and most places closed earlier than expected. There's this small roadside fruit market just off the expressway. Not a proper market, more like a long stretch of wooden stalls under zinc roofs. People usually go there during the day because everything's fresh and cheap. I got there around 5:15 p.m. Most of the sellers were already packing up. A few lanterns were on, giving off that dim orange light. The air smelled like overripe bananas and dust. There were maybe 5 or 6 people left, all minding their own business. I only needed oranges. There was an older woman sitting behind one of the stalls, arranging hers into neat pyramids. She didn't say anything when I walked up, just looked at me and nodded. I greeted her. She didn't respond. Not rude, just quiet. I pointed at the oranges and asked how much. She raised 4 fingers. I assumed she meant 4 for a certain amount, so I nodded and picked some. As I was selecting them, I noticed something small. Every orange on the table had a tiny mark on it. Not natural marks, like cuts. Each one had a thin line scratched into the peel, not deep enough to break through, just enough to be visible if you looked closely. Same position, same angle. All of them. I picked one up and turned it in my hand. The line was too straight to be random. I looked up at her. She was already looking at me. Not at my face, at the orange in my hand. Just watching. I asked her, why are they marked like this? No answer. She didn't even blink. After a few seconds, she slowly reached forward, took the orange from my hand, and put it back on the pile. Then she picked another one and handed it to me. This one didn't have the mark. I laughed a little, thinking maybe I'd offended her by questioning her goods. Okay, this one is better? Nothing. Just that same quiet stare. At that point, I just wanted to pay and leave. I handed her the money, she took it without counting and dropped it somewhere beside her. No bag, no thanks, nothing. I turned to leave, and that's when I noticed something else. The other stalls were empty. Completely. I don't mean the sellers had gone home. I mean the stalls were cleared. Tables bare. No baskets, no fruits, no crates, like no one had been there at all. But I clearly remembered walking past them just a minute ago. People packing up, talking, moving things. Now, it was just quiet. Too quiet. I turned back to the woman. She was still there, still sitting, still watching me. But now, she wasn't behind the table anymore. I don't know how to explain that properly. She was in front of it. Not standing, still seated, but closer, like the table wasn't between us anymore. I know that sounds small, but I hadn't seen her move, not even slightly. The table itself hadn't shifted. She was just closer. I felt that sudden drop in my stomach, that something is wrong feeling that hits before you can think it through. I said, "Okay, thank you," even though she hadn't spoken once. I started walking toward my car. It was parked just by the road, maybe 20-25 meters away. As I walked, I realized I could still feel her looking at me. You know that feeling when someone's eyes are on your back? It was that, but stronger. I didn't turn around. I just kept walking. I reached my car, opened the door, got in, locked it immediately. Only then did I look back. The stall was still there. The table, the lantern, but the woman was gone. Just gone. No movement, no sign she had stood up or walked away. And the oranges, they were gone too. The entire table was empty. I sat there for a while, engine off, trying to process it. Then I noticed the oranges I had bought were still on the passenger seat. I hadn't dropped them. I picked one up. It was the same one she gave me, the unmarked one. At least, I thought it was. Because when I turned it under the light inside the car, there was a mark. Same thin line, but this time, it wasn't straight. It curved slightly, like someone had tried to draw a shape and stopped halfway. I didn't eat them. I threw them away on my way home. The next day, I passed that same road again in the afternoon. I slowed down to check. There was nothing there. No stalls, no structures, just an empty stretch of dirt by the roadside. I even asked a guy selling fuel nearby if there was usually a fruit market there at night. He looked at me like I was joking, said no one sells anything there. Not during the day, not at night. I didn't argue, but sometimes when I'm buying fruits now, I catch myself checking the surface, just to make sure there's no mark, because I keep thinking, what if the one I threw away wasn't the only one I took?
It happened around October 2021, early in the morning. I started going for walks because I couldn't sleep properly. I'd wake up around 5 a.m. every day, restless, so I found this narrow trail behind my area that cuts through a stretch of forest. People use it during the day, but that early, it's usually empty. That morning, I left around 6:10 a.m. The sky wasn't fully bright yet, just that dull gray light. The ground was still damp from rain, and everything felt unusually quiet. No cars, no voices, just my footsteps. About 8 minutes in, I saw the first bottle, a plastic water bottle standing upright in the middle of the path. Not thrown, not tipped over, just placed there. I stepped around it and kept walking. Then maybe 30 seconds later, I saw another one. Same bottle, same position. This time, I slowed down, looked at it for a second, then stepped over it. That's when I started noticing how quiet everything had become. No birds, no movement in the trees, nothing. I kept going. Then I saw a third one. That's when it stopped feeling random. They weren't scattered, they were arranged. Not perfectly spaced, but placed in a way that made sure you'd keep noticing them. I looked behind me. I could still see the second one. Then I looked ahead again. The third one felt closer than it should have been. I can't really explain that part. It just didn't match how far I thought I'd walked. I stepped over it and kept moving. Slower now. That's when I noticed the footprints. Clear in the damp soil. One set, heading the same direction as me. At first, nothing strange, but then I paid closer attention. The spacing was too consistent. Every step looked almost identical. Same distance, same depth. Like whoever made them was walking with perfect rhythm. I tried to match it with my own steps without thinking. I couldn't. Mine kept changing slightly. Theirs didn't. I stopped, looked behind me again. The path was empty. When I turned forward, I saw him. A man standing on the path ahead, maybe 20 meters away, facing away from me. He wasn't moving, not shifting, not checking his phone, just standing there, still. I started walking again, slower this time. 15 meters. 10. Then he spoke, without turning. "You're not supposed to notice all of them." I stopped. "What?" I said. No response. Then, quietly, "You stepped over every one." My chest tightened. "How do you know that?" I asked. He didn't answer. He just tilted his head slightly, like he was listening to something. I didn't like it. "I'm just walking," I said. That's when he turned halfway towards me. I could see part of his face now. Normal, but his expression didn't feel normal. He looked focused, like he was studying me. "You didn't stop," he said. I didn't respond. "You didn't turn around either." That hit me immediately. "I did," I said. He shook his head slowly. "No, you only checked once." I froze, because I wasn't completely sure anymore. "You should check again," he said. Something about the way he said it made my stomach drop, like he already knew what I'd see. I didn't want to turn around, but I did. Slowly. I looked back down the path. At first, nothing. Then I looked at the ground, at the footprints, and that's when I saw it. There weren't one set. There were two. The second set was directly inside the first, perfectly aligned, so perfectly that at a glance it looked like one, but once you noticed it, you couldn't unsee it. And the second set was fresher, slightly sharper in the damp soil, like whoever made them had walked there more recently. My throat dried. I turned back toward the man. He was fully facing me now, watching. "You see it now," he said. I couldn't speak. "You weren't alone when you walked in." My chest tightened instantly. Then he looked past me, over my shoulder, and his expression changed slightly. Not fear, not surprise, just recognition, like he was seeing someone he expected. That was enough for me. I turned and started walking fast, then faster. Then I was almost running. I didn't look back, but I could feel it. Something matching my pace, step for step, right behind me. Not getting closer, not falling behind, just there. I got out of the trail and onto the main road before I finally turned around. Nothing. No man. No movement. Just the empty path. I didn't go back for weeks. When I finally did, during the day, everything looked normal. No bottles, no footprints,
Nothing. But I checked the ground anyway, and for a moment, I thought I saw a footprint form in the dirt, right in front of me. Then another, perfectly spaced, like someone walking, except there was no one there. I left immediately, and I haven't gone back since. Because there's one thing I still can't figure out. Those footprints I followed that morning, were they going forward, or was I just stepping exactly where something else wanted me to go?